You ever notice how betrayal doesn't arrive like a storm? It doesn't crash in, shouting its name. It creeps instead, soft, silent, like smoke slipping beneath a locked door. And by the time you realize it's there, everything's already burning, and you're choking on the ashes. The night it came for me, Aunt Lorraine's dining room smelled of overdone beef, and her heavy perfume, cheap, powdery, sharp enough to sting the back of my throat. The kind of scent that clings to you long after you leave, like a warning you can't wash off. The light above the table was yellow and weak, swaying slightly from the ceiling fan. The oak table gleamed, so polished it looked like it might blind you. All around us, the walls were crowded with pictures, cousins in graduation robes holding diplomas, weddings in silver frames, gap-toothed kids frozen in perfect smiles, proof that this family had things worth bragging about. And me? I was 17, hunched at the far end of the table, trying to make myself small enough to disappear into the wallpaper. Lorraine tapped her wine glass with one manicured nail. The sharp ring sliced through the chatter until the whole room went still. She leaned back, that painted smile stretching across her face, lipstick bleeding into the cracks. "Money's missing from my purse," she said. Her tone was light, almost lazy, like someone setting a knife gently on a napkin. She didn't glance at Ruby. Didn't glance at Dylan, just me. I can still hear it, the scrape of silverware freezing midair, the hush spreading like a wave. Every gaze swung toward me, bright and heavy, like I'd just stepped onto a stage I never auditioned for. I didn't take anything, I said. My voice came out steady, too steady. I thought the truth had its own kind of power, that it would be enough. But then my mother's hand gripped my arm, her nails biting through the fabric of my sleeve. Her breath, warm with wine, hit my ear as she whispered, "Tell me the truth." That was when something inside me broke. Not because she doubted me, but because I saw the relief flicker in her eyes, the comfort of deciding I was guilty. My guilt made things simple for her. And Dylan, God, Dylan. 2 seats away, his fork suspended, his plate untouched, eyes wide but lips sealed. Later that night, in his room, I found it, the torn bank envelope shoved behind his baseball cards. He looked at me under the pale glow of his desk lamp, his hands trembling, his face drained of color. "Don't," he whispered. "Just that one word. Don't tell. Don't ruin it. Don't stir things up." And I didn't, because I thought that's what brothers did. You carry the burden so they don't have to. You become the villain so they can stay untarnished. I left before sunrise. Backpack half open, $86 tucked inside. No plan, no destination, just the bitter taste of betrayal in my mouth. The bus station reeked of wet coats, burnt coffee, and something heavier, loneliness that seeps into your skin. I slid a handful of wrinkled bills across the counter and bought a one-way ticket to anywhere. When I stepped off the bus in Maple Ridge at 4 in the morning, the air was damp, thick with exhaust and rain-slick pavement. My breath hung white in the dark. The shop fronts shivered in the wind, neon signs long dead. The streets were empty, except for a single corner cafe glowing faintly. Dot Carter's bread and coffee. The bell over the door gave a soft chime as I stepped inside. Heat rushed at me, heavy with the scent of yeast, cinnamon, and sugar. My chest clenched, not in fear, but from a kind of relief so sharp it stung. Behind the counter stood a man with weary eyes and tattoos of flowers trailing down his forearms. He looked me over. "You lost, or just hungry?" he asked. I swallowed hard. "Yeah." His wife slid a warm roll toward me. Steam rose from its crust, butter melting along the edges. "Eat," she said. "Then grab a mop. We open in 2 hours." That was my interview. That was the start. They didn't ask about my soaked shoes or why my voice trembled when I said thank you. They didn't care what ghosts I might have been carrying in my backpack. They simply handed me a rag, and later, a key. The room upstairs was small, a twin bed, a window that stuck when it froze, a heater that rattled like it was fighting to stay alive. Rent came straight from my paycheck. No questions, no pity. For the first time, silence didn't mean being cast out. It meant being safe. Mabel showed me how to refill jam jars without leaving sticky trails. Ray taught me to knead dough gently. "You're not fighting it," he'd say, guiding my awkward hands. "Handle it rough, and it dies." Days melted into routine. Scrub, sweep, slice, breathe. My arms ached, my back burned, but the pain meant I belonged. Every week I wrote letters home. Short, careful ones. "I'm fine. Don't worry. Don't write back. Sometimes I tucked in a few bills for Dylan's snacks. No name, no return address, just a ghost brother haunting the mailbox. And for a while that was enough. But betrayal never stays buried. It circles back. The letter came one morning, slipped under the bakery door. A white envelope, thin paper, rent increase 18%. At the bottom, the name hit me like a blow. Mercer Properties, Lorraine's World. The same family that threw me out, now reaching to gut the only home I'd ever found. I stood there in the kitchen, hands still dusted with flour, staring until the words blurred. Mabel rested a hand on my shoulder. "We'll figure it out," she said softly, but her voice trembled. I couldn't let it happen again. Not here, not to them. So I fought, quiet at first, circling due dates in red on the wall calendar, carrying that folded letter in my pocket like a blade. But word spread. Customers whispered. A reporter came. The headline read, "Beloved bakery bled dry by big landlord. Strangers filled the tip jar. Paid months ahead for loaves. Showed up before sunrise just to say, we've got you." And me? I kept quiet, but inside, something caught fire. This time I wasn't running. One night Ray and Mabel sat me down at the scarred wooden table in the back. Steam curled from 2 mugs of tea. Their faces looked older than I'd ever seen them. "We're ready to step back," Ray said. "We want you to take the shop. Would you?" 17. No credit, no cushion to fall back on, just rough palms and a fire burning in my chest. They hadn't given me a business, they'd given me a life. I studied zoning codes by flashlight, spent nights in the library until closing, tracing legal lines with shaking fingers. I stood before the board in a borrowed shirt 2 sizes too big, my voice unsteady but firm. Why raise the rent without repairs? Without reason? Silence hung thick. Then came the nods. Then the clerk's keys clicking the words into record. Weeks later, Mabel pressed the bakery keys into my hand. Cold, solid, biting against my skin. And for the first time since that night at Lorraine's table, I understood. Truth didn't need defending. It only needed to be lived. The bakery became more than walls and ovens. It turned into mornings filled with laughter, evenings rich with stories told over cooling racks. It became home. Some nights I'd lock up long after dark, the streets outside empty, the air still heavy with the smell of bread. I'd lean on the counter listening to the steady hum of the freezers and think of Dylan, his face pale under the desk lamp, his voice whispering that one word, "Don't." I carried that silence for years, but here silence meant something new, peace, belonging, rhythm. Lorraine thought her lie would ruin me, thought being cast out would leave me hollow. But here I stand, hands dusted with flour, name on the lease, heart still beating. And sometimes life finds a way to circle back when you least expect it. It was a Tuesday. The lunch rush had just faded. I was wiping down tables when the bell over the door chimed. I looked up, and there he was. Dylan. Older now. Thinner face, sharper jawline, but the same eyes. Eyes that once begged me in the glow of a desk lamp. He didn't speak right away, just shifted on his feet, gaze wandering the bakery like he wasn't sure he belonged there. Then quietly he said, "I heard this place was yours." I nodded and waited. He swallowed hard, voice cracking. "I'm sorry for everything." The words I'd wanted for years hung between us like smoke, and I realized I didn't need them anymore. I slid a warm roll across the counter, same as Mabel had done for me once. "Eat," I said, "then mop." His laugh broke into a sob, and right then I knew the cycle had ended. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who hand you a roll at 4 a.m. and tell you, "Eat, then mop." That's the truth, the kind no one can ever take from you. Another story, another world.